To call to order the meeting of the Town of Lake Placid. Tonight we have with us Pastor Norris of Trinity Lutheran Church, who's going to lead us in the invocation. And I've asked bashful Greg Sapp, who's a Marine, to then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Could you all please stand?
Please bow your heads. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 tell us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." O Lord, we trust your divine wisdom, and we submit ourselves to your guidance each and every day. We pray that you would lead this town council of Lake Placid to make decisions that will lead this community in the direction of prosperity and controlled growth. During these summer months of vacations, rest, relaxation, and family gatherings, keep all the residents of our community and surrounding areas free from all harm and danger. Walk with our first responders, our police, our sheriffs, our firefighters, our first responders, and be with all those military personnel in harm's way in the Middle East. Bless this meeting and the decisions made so that all may leave informed and with clarity of thoughts. In your most holy name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mayor Charles,
Here.
Vice Mayor Royce,
Here.
Councilmember Hayes,
Here.
Councilmember Sapp,
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Here. Thank you. I just want to open up with some mayor comments first. So I wanted to share some observations from the last month as we continue strengthening our operations and planning for the year ahead. First, we're realigning some work across staff areas to improve efficiency and better utilize our people and equipment. Part of this effort includes identifying where workloads may be overloaded so we can prioritize appropriately or develop alternate plans to ensure critical work gets done. At Lake June Park, the old rusted signage at the boat launch has been replaced. Picnic tables were added under each of the new pavilions, and we're gathering estimates from several companies on how best to address the potholes and uneven road surface around the boat launch area. Once we have those recommendations and costs, we'll bring them forward for consideration. You'll also notice that in this month's town packet of materials, a new format for the financial reports. This is part of our ongoing effort to move towards clearer executive summaries rather than dense, highly technical details that can be difficult to interpret. It's work in progress, and we welcome feedback. The interactive playground behind the basketball court is now open for public use when school is not in session. I want to thank John Verde and Chief Snyder for working with me on communication and process to make that possible. Last week, I sent a letter to FDEP outlining our funding challenges and formally requesting Exhibit E, advance payment approval under the wastewater plant grant that many of you are aware of, that we had taken out the $4 million bridge loan. On Friday, Rachel and I met with FDEP, and they agreed to advance funding so the town can now pay our vendors directly without relying on bank financing. This will allow us to pay off the $4 million bridge loan and avoid future interest cost. Based on current projections, this change is expected to save the town approximately $70,000 per quarter. This is a significant improvement in how we manage cash flow and a strong example of what proactive engagement with our partners can accomplish. I want to acknowledge the water main breaks that occurred in 2 different areas last Friday, which resulted in low to no pressure or boil water notices. We've seen an increase in breaks over the past year, and I'll be working closely with appropriate staff and the Utilities Commission to understand what the underlying issues are, the root causes, and long-term solutions. To the residents who were affected, we apologize for the inconvenience. We appreciate your patience and will continue communicating as we work through this. And then last, we have openings on the Regional Utility Commission and the local planning agencies. Any interested person should submit a letter of interest to the town clerk. So before we move into the agenda, I wanted to provide an update regarding the town administrator position. This morning, the town administrator, Charlotte Rodriguez, submitted her resignation with a stated last day of July 10th. I have accepted her resignation, and under the terms of her employment agreement, today was her final working day with the town. She will be paid through the remainder of her notice period. I want to thank her for her service and wish her well in future endeavors. This is standard operating procedures for high-level positions. As we move forward, I want to reassure council and the public that the town operations will continue without interruption. We have strong directors and staff who keep this town running every day. With the town administrator position now vacant, we need to consider interim leadership. While any of our directors have the skills and capability to take on the interim town administrator role, Chief of Police Mark Snyder has expressed his willingness to step up and assist the town during this transition. Chief Snyder has 28 years of experience with the town, deep institutional knowledge, and the steady leadership needed to maintain continuity. Looking ahead, the town will be facing significant financial and operational challenges. The statewide property tax referendum on the November ballot is widely expected to pass, and if it does, it will place additional pressure on municipal budgets, staffing, and service delivery. Given the complexity of our current financial environment, including grants, capital projects, and long-term planning, I believe the council should consider candidates who have demonstrated experience managing budgets, grants, and capital planning as we look ahead to selecting the next town administrator. If the council would like to review a job description before that position is posted, I'm happy to prepare one for your consideration and bring it back at next week's town council meeting. And at Chief Snyder's recommendation, if the council appoints him as interim town administrator, he's also requesting an interim chief of police to be approved to ensure continuity within the police department. I present this for council consideration this evening.
Are you looking for a motion to that effect?
Yes, per our charter, council approves.
Okay.
So I would be looking for a motion for an interim, to appoint Chief Snyder as an interim town administrator.
Okay. I will make a motion to appoint Chief Mark Snyder, interim town administrator for the town of Lake Placid.
And second.
Any other comments from the dais? Leroy, we're echoing up here, just, there's like a feedback echoing. Out to the audience. Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
I'm sorry, who seconded that motion?
I made it.
Councilwoman Hayes and Eberhardt.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Motion passes. And then I will prepare next week's meeting. We'll have job description that we can review and approve.
And he will, Chief Snyder will appoint the interim chief of police. Do we know who that is yet?
We don't. We're still working through that.
Okay.
So we can bring that back also at next week's
But
meeting.
that's not our purview, that's his purview.
Right.
Okay. Can I just interrupt for a minute and get help? My computer's not on this one. And, help, please. I don't know my password, sorry.
Yes.
It's got a lovely scene on there. It just doesn't have the agenda. Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
I think so.
Thank you. We have a town attorney with multiple talents.
Yes. I need
But
to
you
keep
remembered
getting
it.
closer.
And then the second order that we need to do is regarding the banking signatures. Interesting to note is that the bank needs a formal in the minutes to add our vice mayor. So I would ask for a motion to add Ray Royce and Mark Snyder to our bank signatures and remove Charlotte Rodriguez.
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments here? Mr. Attorney?
Mayor, I recall just specifically that the name needs to be on those documents apparently from the...
That's what they said. We had the resolution that when the vice mayor is selected to approve to put the name, to put that person, the bank wants the name in the minutes. So this motion will provide that to them. Comments to the audience? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
Motion passes. Moving on to the agenda, is there any public comments on non-agenda items? Seeing none. Moving on to the consent agenda, I'll take a motion to accept the consent agenda. I know there were some minor changes, so the motion should include those changes.
I submitted the changes to each one of you.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the changes, the minor corrections to the minutes that were provided.
Second. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. I have a proclamation, which is declaring June Faith, Family, and Responsible Fatherhood that I'd like to read, and then we'll sign it. Whereas faith is not just a cornerstone, but the foundation of the town of Lake Placid community, providing the moral compass of strength, hope, and guidance for many of its residents. And whereas the Christian faith and Christian ethics play a vital role in defining and shaping the constitutional values of love, service, unity, and responsibility that contribute to the well-being of the town of Lake Placid. And whereas the month of June is also a time our nation honors fathers through the observance of Father's Day, acknowledging the vital role of fathers as pillars of strength, wisdom, leadership, provision, and protection within their families and communities. And whereas the United States approaches the 250th anniversary of American independence, it is fitting to remember and celebrate the enduring foundations that help shape our republic, including faith, family, and responsible fatherhood, which continue to cultivate the character, stability, and future strength of our communities. Now therefore be it proclaimed by Colleen Charles as mayor of the town of Lake Placid, hereby proclaim June 2026 as Faith, Family, and Responsible Fatherhood Month in the town of Lake Placid, Florida. This proclamation calls the residents of the town of Lake Placid to unite, celebrate, and uplift the foundational pillars of faith, family, and responsible fatherhood. By honoring these virtues, we strengthen families, honor fathers and mothers, and embrace the faith that calls us to serve one another with love and compassion, proclaim this 8th day of May 2026. And I'll sign this. The clerk will attest it, and we'll seal that. And this also is Father's Day, so Father's Day month, right? So it's fitting. Did I say the wrong date? Okay. So now we'll move on to public hearings, ordinance 2026-03, annual updates to the capital improvement schedule, public hearing.
Mayor, can you read the title into the record?
Read it in.
Right at the top, right there. Where's the scroll?
Sure.
The bookmarks are there.
Okay, we'll come down for a picture. I know. Yeah, we're going to change that. I did, yeah. Yes? Come on, guys.
Is it her proclamation or ours?
It's her proclamation.
I just read it.
I know.
I'm the signer.
I guess my question is it a proclamation of the mayor?
So I was looking at the statement of issues, so I can read it instead of.
She wants her. Now you got to throw everything. And you step stool like climbing on a horse.
Title.
Okay. So ordinance number 2026-03, an ordinance for the town of Lake Placid, Florida, modifying the 5-year capital improvement schedule of the town of Lake Placid, 2030 comprehensive plan, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, council, town clerk for the record. I'm presenting this tonight. This is a annual requirement.
We're having, on her microphone, we're having...
Can we hear me now?
Yeah.
I have to sit real close. So this was brought before the LPA. This is an annual ordinance, our 5-year capital improvement. Next week, you'll have it for second reading and also the resolution for the 10-year. It went before the LPA. LPA made a recommendation to include the gas line that has in previous years been brought forward, and town council did not put it in. So, and then also the dog park, I'm requesting that that get removed from the wording on the 5-year because we're doing that with CRA. Other than that, I present this to the council for first reading.
And then just to add for clarification, this, we're a few months overdue from when we would typically do this. And then after the budget is completed in September, October, we'll be bringing this up to date. So this is now to kind of catch up from January, February, we'll submit it, but then we're going to refresh it right after the budget, and we'll bring it forward then and get back
So-
on the annual cycle that we should.
So just to add to that, Mayor, during the budget workshops, this will be brought forward along with the budget. The thoughts are that we can pass our budget, our millage, our 10-year, our 5-year all together in September for October 1.
Right.
Basically
Thank
what
you.
you said. But it'll be part of the budget process, so everybody will be able to take another look at it.
Right.
May I? I had some notes and questions. Do you want me to hold it for the workshop?
Yeah, I was going to say, so what we need is a motion, a second, then we'll open up for discussion. That fair?
I move to approve on first reading ordinance 2026-03, LP annual updates to the capital improvement schedule, public hearing, removing the dog park wording and adding a natural gas line with no amount.
Second.
Okay. Comments, questions from the dais?
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, well, first of all, I like the way you broke down some of the items that were lumped together in prior years. I'd like to add a line item, if we can afford to put in the fence at the cemetery, the back fence. And I'm confused about, under the police department, it's listed at 1.6 million, but actually we have 193,000 coming out of utilities and 400,000 coming out of a grant.
So during the budget cycle, you guys reviewed this, and at that time, the police department was at 1.6. That's what was budgeted, my understanding. And that's really all I know about.
Yeah, this kind of tricky now because we're catching up something that should have been submitted earlier. So we're acting like if we were to submit it based on the budget that was approved.
Oh, okay.
And so
Okay,
come September, during the workshops, and then September, this will be refreshed with the approved budget numbers, which will bring,
okay.
you know, the police department, anything else to the level that it needs to be.
So I'm just getting ahead of myself.
Well, it's just trying to clarify kind of,
Okay.
you know, the catch-up that we need to do to submit this. It's pretty much based on the budget that was approved.
Okay, got it.
Other comments? Nell, did you have some questions?
I did. I'm adding this for like the 14th time under utility fund for 2027, 2028. It appears that the total on here is 805,000. However, if I add up brush truck, vehicles, AMI meters, and Public Works Complex, I come up with 1055, not 805. So either I'm missing something or there's something in there that shouldn't be in there.
We can take a look at that and
Yeah.
change it on second reading if it's incorrect.
Okay, that's under 27, 28, under utility fund. Thank you.
Anything else from the dais? Out to the public? Seeing none, bring it back. Clerk, take the roll.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes?
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to the action agenda is an update for Clearwave Fiber. And I think we have Attorney Groves online that she's going to take lead on this item. Well, yes, but we got to get the volume in. Go ahead and, we're testing it. Attorney Groves, can you speak and we'll see? Oh. It's like technology here, right? Kara, are you there? So as soon as we tee this up, this is on broadband with Clearwater Fiber. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item. We'll come back to that when we can get our audio fixed. The next item is authorization for an RFI,
She's up now.
but I don't know that the sound is good. Kara, are you there? Yeah.
The microphone
She's
is
muted up there.
That is not me. I don't know who's doing
off. It appears that she's muted.
Mic's up. I think that's the muted.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, that then.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. Can you speak to her?
It looks like she's muted to the left here, though. Kara. There we, now we can.
Oh, yay.
Well, I can hear you, but I don't know if we have it out to the audience yet. Go ahead and just, let's see if they can. I mean, I've got you coming through a little pod up here. Kara, can you? No, because you're only coming through the computer here. I'll let you do it. Okay, Kara. No, hang on. Mm-mm. Kara, say something
Yep.
again.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear out there? Better. So we have an external speaker with a wireless mic on it, so. Okay, Kara, go ahead.
Okay, so good evening, council. I hope everyone's well. Kara Groves here on behalf of the Office of the Town Attorney. I wanted to just take a few minutes before the vote to frame what you're being asked to approve tonight, what this document does and doesn't do, and why it is structured the way that it is. I know several members, I think, have reached out with questions about the cabinets and the specifics of what Clearwave is putting into the ground, so I wanted to address all of that outright. So the crux of the matter here is that there is a federal legal issue before the town. It's probably not something that the council has commonly dealt with before, if at all. Tonight's vote is not necessarily about whether Clearwave gets to build in Lake Placid. Under federal law, we're preempted. We basically don't have any legal right to preempt Clearwave's ability to come into Lake Placid. So tonight's vote is about whether the town has meaningful protections in place while that happens, or whether we essentially lose the ability to impose any conditions at all. So a little background here, before my office was brought in, our town planner had already been contacted by Clearwave and received a permit application. And so what happens under federal law, specifically the Telecommunications Act of 1996, the moment a communications provider submits a permit application to a municipality, review clock starts. So we have a defined period to act. And unfortunately, if we don't act, the application could be deemed approved automatically, which I know is very hard to believe, but by operation of federal law, it can be deemed approved without any conditions, protections, or requirements of what we'd like to have in place. So what we had to do at the town attorney's office, we had to, we had a narrow window basically to do two things at once, make sure, number one, the town wasn't exposed to any sort of deemed approved risk, and then make sure that, when Clearwave does proceed, the town has enforceable protections. And so that's what this MOU is for. It's, think of it as a targeted instrument designed to, solve a specific legal issue. So in the packet, you'll see what I believe are the most important provisions of the MOU. It's also attached. The town, wouldn't have the right to otherwise enforce without this. And this MOU, just for council's knowledge, this is based off of one that Clearwave has already done in Highlands County, based off of a agreement, I think, with Sun and Lakes District in Sebring. So you'll see that there are specific insurance requirements, a $50K bond in case they, damage the right of way in any way, that, that's money that the town can pull from. There's full indemnification for the town if there's any issues, relocation of any cabinets for road projects or trails or drainage improvements, all of that at the applicant's cost. And most importantly, which I think gets to the heart of what some of the questions I had heard were raised, was no construction without an approved permit. And that's where some of the concerns of the council come in. I've heard, questions about the size, the location, what they're going to look like in front of different areas, and whether they're going to block future uses. And so these are absolutely all of the right questions. They're not going to be answered tonight, and this is part of the reason why. So the MOU is a temporary document. It's designed to allow the permitting process to move forward. So the cabinet questions like sizes, locations, ADA clearance, site distance requirements, all of that, that is the work of the permit process. And the ordinance, we are eventually going to bring back to the council at a later date to approve. So this MOU is specifically designed to buy us time to develop that ordinance. And the permit process that we're going to go through with Clearwave after this is approved, that's where we're going to address location, sizing, and all that's going to be ultimately put into an ordinance. So certainly welcome any feedback tonight on, your concerns related to the placement of the cabinets, the size, all of that, and we will incorporate them into the permit process. But the issue that I was concerned about getting into that tonight is that it can create a subjectivity problem. So, we are really limited by federal law here that placement and size standards, they must be objective, written, and applied non-discriminatorily. And so we have to make sure that every suggestion by council, not just reasonable, but doesn't make deployment impossible for financial or other reasons. So we can certainly limit ROWs if there's legitimate public safety, public access concerns. Absolutely, like if we can't get a fire truck to turn in an alleyway anymore, can't have a cabinet there. But we're not going to get to that tonight. That's the job of planning, fire department, utilities, to craft that permitting process and then ultimately bring that back to a complete ordinance. So for now, it's basically a time constraint issue. We need to, certain legal protections in place. So with that, we do have a representative from Clearwave here, I believe, somewhere in the audience to answer questions. But I do just want to be clear that I don't think that the Clearwave representative is prepared to answer technical questions about their cabinets. We do have a site plan, but it's still in the middle of the permitting process. So we're happy to take any concerns raised by council into consideration on that issue. But outside of that, I ask that just to please limit it to edits or modifications to the MOU or the motion to the legal issues addressed therein. And that's it.
So we're looking for a motion to accept the MOU.
Yes, and looking for that motion and then go out to the audience, then back. And
Right.
certainly you have a representative here that can
Okay.
articulate.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Town of Lake Placid and Hargray of Florida LLC doing business as Clearwave Fiber for installation of fiber optic network within the town rights-of-way, and to authorize the mayor to execute the MOU on behalf of the town.
Second.
Any comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Motion passes. So thank you for coming. And Kara, thanks for the very detailed description.
May I?
Please.
As
Thank
long
you,
as
Mayor.
you
Appreciate it.
took the time to come, maybe you could educate the audience what this is all about. Is this for home use? Is it a bulk system? Just educate
Sure.
us.
I'll give it a shot. Good evening, council, residents. So my name is Bob Nicholson. I'm the Senior Director of Construction for Clearwave Fiber. We're a private equity company. We come into these communities that are underserved with fiber. We don't come in and compete against other fiber builders, so this is a good market for us. It's 100% fiber to the home. We start off building residential, and then we'll go into HOAs once we get right of entry agreements, MDUs, multiple dwelling properties, apartments, and we'll pick up businesses along the way. But our primary starting point is residential, and I believe there's a little over 400 homes that we're planning to build to. And it's 100% underground construction, so we're not hanging on the utility poles. The only thing that you will see is that cabinet that keeps getting discussed. It's an FDH cabinet, stands for Fiber Distribution Hub. It's roughly 3 foot long, 2 foot deep, and it stands maybe 4 foot tall. And we will work with the city in putting it in a discrete location. That it's not going to be an eyesore for anybody, and it won't impact traffic. Typically, it's in the right of way, and that's our serviceability point to access the fiber.
So would there be one for the whole town, one for every so many miles, one for every block? What would?
I believe one cabinet will service the entire city limits. Yes, ma'am.
Just don't break our water lines, please.
That's always a big question. We operate under the 811 laws. We'll notify everybody. We'll work with the Public Works Department on capacity, so we're not putting too much strain. We're not like the AT&Ts or the large providers that come in and say, this is what we're doing, fall in line. We will work hand in hand with the community and Public Works to make sure that this project goes well. And this is a small project for us. We'll be in and out before you know it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to next item, 7B, authorization for an RFI, a request for interest for the Dale Hall property. Just a little background of this. In February, the Boys and Girls Club gave a discussion at the town council meeting regarding future use of the Dale Hall building for the Boys and Girls Club. And since that time, there was discussion as town council made a decision to purchase this building, and we should go back and see what was the whole reason that we wanted to purchase it, so that if we need to modify that, and that we really should go out publicly with an RFI to see if there's other organizations or interests that would want to use that building. So in the packet is, and you know, a lot were here during the October discussion of buying that building, because at that time it was the, we had a 100-year lease on Bicentennial Park, and the building changed hands, and there was a letter that came to the town to say that do we want to buy it? If not, they're basically terminating the lease of the park. So we did buy it, and we've done some repairs on it, and the building sits there. So I think the town attorney you've drafted up, and the RFI, you approve, you're good with that, so. just-
Correct, Mayor.
What's that?
Correct.
Right, so the RFI has been reviewed through legal, and so just wanted to open up for discussion to, if council wants to move to put a formal RFI out there, which would be for 30 days, and then we'd come back and have a discussion of the interest and make a decision, what's the ongoing use of that building.
If I may, I think that the initial intent was to secure the playground. The building
Yes.
was incidental.
Yes.
And I don't think that the town should be in the business of supplying properties to charities. I would like to see us list that property for sale and use that money to go towards playground equipment or help the other half of the park. We already have a building to use for meetings here, if someone needs to use a building. I don't know that we need another one, just my opinion on the matter. The playground needs to be saved, but the building does not.
We have a dilemma with the kids. They used to go to the public library after school, and now that's not available to them anymore. So it's the little ones that are hanging around town. That's why we thought maybe this would be a good use with the boys, partnering with the Boys and Girls Club.
I think the kids hanging around town are not the kids that would be hanging out in the library. I think the kids hanging around town would not be the ones that are hanging out in the library.
Actually, there were quite a few that were at the library waiting for their older siblings to pick them up.
And it's a very small building to do much more with than have just a few people in there. I don't know if we have to do anything right now. I don't mind putting out an RFI, but I would like to see us list that property, particularly with the potential reduction in revenue in the future coming up. I think we need to kind of hold tight on our resources for a while, not give anything away.
Why were the kids not able to use the library?
I guess the younger kids would go to the library. They had activities for the kids, and I think reading for the kids. And then it was determined that the library would not provide that babysitting service. And so it was told to me that the kids are running not rampant, they're just wandering around the park, wandering around town without any direction. And at just about that time, the Boys and Girls Club came forward, and they were willing to put together a program, a structured program, using the Doll Hall building. So
I think it's interesting that to go out for requests for interest to see what people might want us to do with that property, because, I mean, it belongs to the town. I think we should hear from townspeople to see what they think we should do with it.
I will say I generally agree with Councilman Sapp's perspective. I'm not at all opposed to the RFI, and I would encourage if there are organizations, excuse me, that would like to propose, a intermediate or longer-term lease where there was a revenue stream that was coming in to support the maintenance and the function of the building, then I'd be a lot more interested in maintaining ownership if there was a revenue stream from an organization versus us bearing 95 or 100% of the maintenance and operating cost of the building.
I think right now for utilities, we're just over $300 a month, electric, sewer, water. So I mean, to your point, there are costs that we're incurring as it's sitting empty.
Right, and so as it undergoes more use, then the O&M and repair costs will, undoubtedly go up some. So I would encourage if there's any organizations that are proposing using it, that they not perceive that it's a free building to ask to use, that they put together a plan that compensates the town in some manner for the use of that property.
I would agree with that.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize staff to release a request for interest to the Dell Hall property.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais?
Yes, ma'am, and I'm assuming when that information comes back, depending on the responses we get, then we might then want to consider Councilman Sapp's idea if we don't get any, interesting things, correct? Okay, thank you.
And there were a lot of blank spaces in the materials that we received with reference to the dates and the timelines, of course. But I would like to keep reasonable but yet short timelines so we don't sit on this forever.
Okay. I know at first it was 45 days, and I said we need to do less, and I think I suggested 30, so we can work with what a reasonable time for people to put together a proposal would be.
True, I mean, I imagine this could be issued tomorrow, and you have 14 days Q&A period, 30 days overall, so by mid-July, we should have at least the responses, and my idea would be to bring all of those responses back in full so council can consider that. We wouldn't want to set up any type of ad hoc sunshine committee or otherwise. Those would just come back for council to review.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
I mean, and keep in mind, right, after the new police department's going to be completed and they'll move in, then we're going to have the North Oak Avenue building to make a decision on what to do.
For sale, yeah.
So,
I would say we don't have to get in a hurry to do this. 2 months should be plenty, or even 3 months. As long as we have a plan for it to do something, we don't need to get in a rush to make a decision on this. I just want everyone to know kind of what I'm thinking about it and where we're going with this. So if we miss the opportunity to put somebody in there who can do good for the town, I don't want to get in a hurry and miss that. So I would say let's add a little more time to it than 30 days or 45 days, just in fairness.
I would agree with that, except that I think people like Boys and Girls Club may be wanting to have something in place before school starts. So, that would put us into the middle of August is when school starts.
And it's my understanding, too, that the Boys and Girls Club have a grant in the wings, and it's time-sensitive.
so if we go out tomorrow, June 9th, I guess I was trying to think if we could time it to have everything back and prepared for the second meeting in July. Might be tight, but for certain we could shoot for that first meeting in August. So we can probably put together the response knowing that 30 days, we're not going to make a meeting for a decision, so we can look at giving a little more time. With the target of the first meeting in August, that we would be able to bring a summary of everything. Does that work?
And if I may, it was drafted to be inclusive, to just get an interest to see if there's enough folks interested. We may narrow the scope if there's enough interest, and the council may want to take a little bit more time to develop a better plan and to help that organization out. It was just to get an interest to see, and that way you could make a go, don't go decision on what you need to do with this property, because there is an interest of some sorts and there is a cost.
Okay, so any other comments from the dais?
So what you're saying then is, let's get let's get everything in, the requests for interest into us by the second meeting in July, which is July 20th, and then we would evaluate that and come back and discuss it on the first meeting of August.
Right, we'd summarize it, we'd have staff
We
summarize it.
would talk about it at the July 20th meeting, is that what you're saying?
No, I don't
No.
think we'll have the results back by them, that we would be able, is it July 20th the meeting, or is that a workshop?
July 20th is the second meeting in July.
Okay,
13th is the first, 20th is the second.
okay.
Is that what you were saying, Mr. Norm?
My thoughts are to see what the interest is and at least have something back before council. So for example, if you have one individual entity that's just showed an interest in it, council may say, well, let's go out a little bit longer. Council may say, let's accept this one and work with this entity. But at that point in time, I would hope that we report back to council at least where this is, rather than it's on a to-do list and it never gets done.
So I'm thinking that we would actually have those requests for interest in front of us to discuss on July 20th.
If they're in and can be packaged up, I think we could probably do that.
We can work towards that.
Okay.
We should be. If we go out with a month,
Yeah. That's
be back, July 9th, gives us 10 days to put it together. Should be able to work with
And
that.
council can revoke this, pull this, change this, modify. This is nothing binding on council at this point. You're just basically asking for interest and see what we can do for the community.
Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Yes, ma'am. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Council. I'm Janice Rearick, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Highlands County. It's nice to be back, and I'm very happy to be able to speak with you once again about a proposal to bring Boys and Girls Club of Highlands County to the youth of Lake Placid. In February, the Council agreed that this would be a good direction to go. We were tasked for the town manager and I to come up with an agreement at that point in time. A lot of things have happened in the last 4 months. Of course, we've had a new attorney. Welcome, sir. And of course, council elections. Congratulations, Mayor Charles. Welcome, Mr. Sapp, Mr. Royce. Glad to see you up there. And in this period of time, it's been a serious delay in being able to move forward to bring a program for the children of Lake Placid. In February, it was brought to my attention that the programs conducted in the library were being canceled. At that time, a simple drive around the park showed children frequenting around it with basically no place to go. The Boys and Girls Club is an answer to children not having a place to go after school. We are the positive place. We do host great futures that are available to children, and because Highlands County's club is one of the affiliates with the nationally ranked Boys and Girls Clubs of America, we have professionally vetted programs and structure that we're able to bring to Lake Placid. It's high time that Lake Placid join our clubs in Avon Park and Sebring to have a structured, reliable, safe place for kids to be after school. We welcome Lake Placid to join the club, so to speak. Our program has always been looking for a very safe place, a home in Lake Placid. And the property at 151 Dow Hall Boulevard suits it very well. We ask about how many can fit in. Well, our fire marshal has agreed that the building can accommodate up to 65 people. That's a very reasonable starting number to have a clubhouse begin. So we have plenty of room. The adjacent park is a perfect place for the children to be able to enjoy the after-school fitness program. One of the 3 focuses that we rotate every single day: academics, life skills, and fitness. To have access to the playground makes it a really ideal property and location. I've already presented a draft lease agreement to the, I guess now previous town manager was submitted several months ago for evaluation and review. I'm assuming, attorney, that you may have a copy of it. If not, I'm more than happy to provide it. It was my effort to keep the ball rolling and to make sure that with time being of the essence, with children needing a place to go, and the Boys and Girls Club ready to be able to put this in place, I'm hoping that we can, with respect to the, with the new process that is in place, and I certainly welcome the opportunity to present our intent to move into the building. The lease agreement covers many different things.
Thank you.
But I think that the value is
The 3
with having
minutes
the
are
club.
up. Thank you. And yes, please.
Thank you.
respond to the RFI. Thank you. Ma'am, state your name and address for the record, please.
Margaret Deer, 1504 French Street. Respectfully, I just want to make sure that you all understand that they have not stopped programs at the library in the town of Lake Placid. It's just that children under 12 are unable to be there unsupervised in the afternoons or during their programs, not that they have stopped them at all. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item C, in HVAC repairs or HVAC replacement for Government Center. And I think, as you'll notice, the AC is out in this building. And so there are 2 AC units that are out in this building right now. We had about $17,000, I think, in the budget. Rachel, is that correct? For AC repairs. And with these 2 units out, staff has called around to 4 different AC companies. And I think Chief Snyder is going to summarize. I've asked him on this one to summarize where we're at. And because we're calling, which it is an emergency, it's been pretty hot in different parts of the building, and that we don't need to go out for a formal bid, but we have contacted 4 different air conditioning companies to get quotes on getting the 2 units replaced in this building. Chief Snyder?
Thank you. Right now, we have 4 bids that have come back. First will be Absolutely Cool Air. That'll be $53,600 for both units to be replaced. Bent's air conditioning would be $150,000 to replace both units. Miller's would be $69,574 to replace both units, and A1 Air in Okeechobee is $49,696. While A1 Air does come in at the lowest with the 5% overage for local business, Bent's Air Conditioning would be the one that comes in lowest by $153.
So, Chief, you have a recommendation for the council of which
The
one to
recommendation would be Bent's Air Conditioning based on the lowest bid, with the local 5% on would be Bent's Air Conditioning. They also give 2 years labor, where the others give 1 year labor for the warranty.
So the bid from Miller was $34,000. That was for 1 unit and not 2? That number has to be doubled?
Yeah.
Yes, it's for 1 unit, it's $34,000. The actual total for both units would be $69,574.
And which one are you referencing, Chief?
The Miller's Air is the one Mr. Sapp was asking about.
Yeah, I
No,
see the Miller.
Ben's.
You're saying,
The Bent's Air Conditioning, it came in late. It may not have been with the printed material.
oh, I don't have that in the
That
packet.
came in after the town packet was published, and Eva sent out a supplement email when that bid
Okay.
came in.
Okay, I don't have that one, okay.
It's on your thing there.
I'll find it.
It's the bottom one. It's the 4th one down. It's the last one. I completely misunderstood the Miller one. I thought the Miller one mentioned units 2 and 3 combined for $34,000. So I thought it was a pretty big difference in numbers.
No, the 34,787 was for a single unit.
And Bent's is $52,150
For 2.
Yes, sir,
for both of them, yes.
for both units.
It was like Miller was 8,000 a unit
Yeah.
higher.
I move to approve.
I'm sorry, Chief, what's the situation with A1 Air again?
A1 Air is out of Okeechobee. It's not a local company. And theirs would be $49,696 for it. We afford 5% over for our local business, which would raise Bents up, and it would make them $153 cheaper with that 5%.
Because they're getting local preference.
That's
Because
local
of local
preference
preference.
for the charter, yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr.
I
Sapp.
move to approve and go with the Bent's bid for $52,150.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Motion passes. And Mr. Durham, do we need to have a formal motion on using this as an emergency and not going out to bid?
The agenda item covers that, and I think the motion would be inherent, but you could basically enact it under Article 4 of your ordinances, your
Okay.
emergency purchasing requirements.
So
That
we're
would be
good on that.
inherent with the documents submitted
Right.
in the agenda.
And then also inherent with that, of course, is the budget amendment, because we've only budgeted $17,000. So this is where we start getting into those repairs that are needed that we didn't anticipate, but we just have to do. Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
So this authorizes the budget amendment without further discussion
Formal?
on that?
I would suggest we put those numbers on there, and I believe the motion is blank to leave those numbers on there if we could do that math.
Okay, I mean, I'm good with it, I just want to make sure
Yes.
we're
Right.
doing it correctly. Okay.
The actual number that we would need a budget amendment for would be $25,150. That's based on the $27,000 that is currently budgeted.
25,000 and some change?
Yeah, $25,150.
Okay.
Thank you.
So on that note, Alan's going to come up and ask for another budget amendment on another necessary thing. But remember, Alan's budget amendment is for our sanitation, so Alan Kiefer, you're going to take us through action item number D, a budget amendment for sanitation.
Good evening. I'm seeking a budget amendment for the sanitation department repair and maintenance account. Vehicle number 2, which is a 2018 Mack, has had transmission issues in the past, and even as I believe 2024 we had it inspected. It checked out okay at that time, but it's continued to have issues since then. We recently had it taken to the shop, and they recommended a complete replacement because there's been pressure issues within, I believe, certain gear ratios, and then the C4, I guess that stands for clutch 4, is out. I was told that we would get a $5,643 core charge for giving them the old one. And I just wanted to let you know also, we took to auction garbage truck number 20 and the former claw truck, brush truck number 15 earlier this year. We received $3,000 for the old garbage truck and $10,000 for the bucket truck. So that might help offset it by, say, $13,000 for the sale of those trucks, $5,000 core charge. It kind of brings the total down a bit to about $16,000. I'm not seeking $16,000, that's what kind of offsets it a little bit, but this would come out of the sanitation fund. And I just wanted to make sure the full amount was there, just in case I misunderstood about the core charge and it might have been built in.
Right, and this truck's out of commission right now, right?
This
It's
truck is
sitting
out of
over to get
commission.
repaired.
It leaves us with 2.
Yeah.
If one of those goes out, we'll be in a tight spot for
Yeah.
being used right now are a 2021, only 5 years old. It's in great shape. But there's the 2014 is already 12 years old. The average lifespan of these garbage trucks is 10 to 15 years. So we're kind of nearing the end of life for the one that's keeping us afloat right now.
Thank you.
I apologize, Alan, for ignorance. Can you explain the core charge?
It's basically when we give them the old transmission, they will take it to a facility and rebuild it and sell it as a rebuilt to someone else. It's basically the same thing as exchanging a battery. If you return a car battery, you'll get a certain amount back for bringing in the old one.
So if we're billed for the core charge, but if they fix it, then we get that back? I'm sorry, I'm not following the math. I apologize.
Yeah, I believe that's just how it works. They bill you the full amount in the event that you ask for the old one back for whatever reason. So they want to ensure that we're giving it back to them.
Yeah, the only reason they wouldn't guarantee a core is if the bell housing's cracked or something's wrong that they can't reuse the outside parts of it. They rebuild the whole inside and then resell it as a new used part.
So they resell to somebody
else, yes. We're
And then we get a credit.
If they can use it, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it seems excessive by probably $5,000 to $8,000 or $10,000. That's a lot, but it sounds like we need the truck. We don't need to be running all over the place chasing down better numbers. It's there. It's ready to go. I move that we go ahead and get this done. What's the exact dollar figure? If we need to put that on there.
Well, if I might, I guess my question is, it's with the core charge, it's 36.6.
Yeah.
So you pay the core charge whether or not it's going to be reused or not.
It's unusual. Usually they take the core immediately, but because it's a special part on the truck, Charlie would probably know better if would know better, but they core starters, alternators, other things that they know you can see quickly and see if it can be reused, and they'll give you a core right away. But on a transmission or a bigger part, they'll need to take it apart and assess it and make sure that it can actually be reused. So we'll pay it, and they'll, I'm sure, give a credit back later, and it should be in good shape because they said there was nothing externally wrong with it looking at it. So we'll have to budget the whole part and then get the whole $34,000, and then we'll get a portion of that back when the core is approved or unapproved. So let me find here, whatever the dollar figure is. Yeah, I
It's
moved
on
to,
page 93.
to approve the $34,727 to have this done with Nextran.
I'm sorry, but the number I was looking at was 36,601, which is
Which one did you
on
see?
page 93.
Oh, you were maybe looking at the air conditioner?
Sorry, that it was also in the shop for several other things. Those
So
would
that's
not be
the
included.
total.
That was the overall estimate included I believe, headlight repairs,
Okay.
Tina, can you scroll to the motion?
coolant level sensor, air systems,
Okay.
slow to build air. That's
So the additional couple grand is money we've already obligated ourselves to.
correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I just
Yeah,
wanted to.
just for the transmission, it was $34,727.77, less the core if they accept it. So we should know that. I would think
That would bring it
within
down
a
to
few weeks of them taking it.
Yeah.
So is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments, questions from the dais? Out to the audience? Seeing none, bring it back. Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce,
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. Moving on to 7E is the Lake June Park Pickleball Courts Project, authorization for Kimley Horn bid support services. Last month, council approved to go out to bid so that we could get some real numbers on how much the pickleball project at Lake June Park would be. And at that time, Charlotte talked to Kimley Horn to get a price from them. Staff felt, and I don't disagree, that we don't have the qualifications in-house to prepare very technical bid documents. We don't have an engineer. That's a top story for another day and topic for another day, but so we don't really have the in-house skills to go write up bid documents to go out, and Charlotte worked with Kimley Horn. Kimley Horn gave a proposal that it would be $6,000 for them to prepare the bid documents, and then subsequently we found out that the transportation study that was done earlier that has been charged to the pickleball project of $8,000, there needs to be some additional study that needs to be done, and that's going to be $4,500. So, and then I talked to staff, and of course with Charlotte tendering her resignation and then Eva need to step away, and I said, okay, you guys have been buried in this for many years, to the point that at one point, if you could see, Eva has a binder that's like 8 inches thick of, emails and bids and documents and things that we weren't able to do a piggyback agreement. But I said, where do you feel the budget is right now? Do you feel that we're going to come in at $700,000? That's what we have budgeted. They do not. They feel with a high confidence level, it is going to be much higher than that, to the tune of central contractors had estimated. And again, this is based on 2022 costs, right, when this thing originally went out for RPAC and then for FERDAP. Lighting for the 8 courts was going to be $96,000. Now we have information, and still it's not firm because they haven't seen the design. It's over $200,000. So right there, we know that the lighting is going to come in a lot higher. And so I wasn't able or willing to make a decision to spend another $6,000 if we already know with high confidence level the answer is going to come back over budget. So that's why this item is on the agenda for council, is to authorize $6,000 for Kimley Horn to prepare the bid documents that then would go out, and that we would then get back to see definitively where we are in the budget. So I'll open it up for discussion, for motion.
I make a motion that we abandon the project for the reasons I gave last time, the financial reasons, purely financial, non-emotional, and added to that, last time I mentioned, well, first of all, I mentioned that we knew it was going to be 100,000 over. Now it's going to be more than that. We need to keep all the reserves we have, especially now that we know that the November referendum was going to hit us. We're going to lose revenue from 100%, well, 90% certain we're going to lose revenue with property taxes. We need to keep all of our reserves, and it's not fair to ask somebody to bid on a project when we don't have the money to do it. We had to spend money for air conditioning, and it's my understanding there are, 5 more in this building, air conditioning units of the same age. They could probably die any day also. We just don't have the money to spend it right now on a pickleball court. That's a want and not a need.
Madam Mayor, I guess my concern is,
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd like, if it dies for lack of a second,
Okay,
I'd like
that's-
to continue. Why couldn't, part of what's kind of muddied the water here was perhaps the way it was laid out, and there was going to be multiple parties working on it. Why wouldn't we, especially since the town has already invested $70,000 or $80,000 of hard money, plus staff time, plus legal time, why wouldn't we ask Mr. Durham or staff to put together a bid package to the best of their ability, require that a general contracting firm respond to it so that it was all under the auspices of one general contractor, and then we have very little additional cost until we get a bid back. And to your point, or to Councilwoman Eberhardt's point, if it comes back 100 or a couple $100,000 higher than we originally projected, then that's the time to move on and abandon it. But until we get that bid from a general contractor, I just think it's hard to say, well, we know it's going to be over budget. I think we need to just clean it up. We ought to put it out there and see if a general contractor couldn't do it. They would then manage the job. I'm not really of a frame of mind to give Kimley Horn another $6 or $7 grand to manage stuff. I mean, I think we just move forward. Obviously, there's no reason in my mind to spend any money on a traffic study until we make a determination that there's a likelihood that the project could go forward. So that would be my suggestion.
So who would you have prepare the bid packet?
I would, if Mr. Durham, I mean, I know obviously the meter runs with Mr. Durham as well, but if Mr. Durham said, yes, we can, from all of the work that's been done in the 8-inch thick binder, if he can put together enough of a bid package to send it out for a request for proposal and require that the project be bid by what I'm going to call a general contractor. We contract with one entity, that we move forward in that regard.
Simple answer, yes, and based upon what Kimley Horn proposed, we would probably work with the planner to some degree and some of their technical staff, and I'm being advised that it can come in for much less than that to at least give council the idea of where this bid would be. I think a lot of the concern that I hear, and I think council sees, is that current staff is very stretched and limited. And when we talk about a project manager, the septic plant, there really wasn't a project manager because 3 or 4 people cycled through that. And Bert Harris did a very good job of managing what he could and probably stepping out of his role as legal advisor to keep that rolling. Right now we have Brandon, who is overseeing the septic plant, and council a couple months back said that's top priority, getting hookups, getting that plant operational, keeping it moving. Rachel Osborne closing out the grant, collecting all those monies. So we start tasking people with this, and in fact I talked to Roger with Pannoni, and he said, Mike, when we bid to do the engineering, the town agreed to have an engineer to do a lot of the field work and the inspections, and that never came to be. So Pannoni's been very gracious. I think we have a lot of volunteers, a lot of people, yes, we'll do it. But I do believe if we can get something out on the street, get a bid, basically the specs that are here, the 8-inch binder, I'm talking to staff and probably in a couple weeks, have something, get it out, and see what we have. And it needs to be a general contractor that can build this as is from soup to nuts, so you're not tapping on staff to be responsible and you're piecemealing this and who's responsible and pulling them off, because it is a lot of lost opportunity costs. That's just being an honest assessment, but we're willing to do it and see if we can get something done for council. Much less than that and come back, if that's council's direction tonight.
I would be supportive of all of those thoughts. I can continue to have a large, if you will, burr under my saddle with the traffic study, which wasn't even told that we had to do in the beginning, and now we did, and now apparently we didn't do it completely or correctly, and now we're going to have to incur another $4,500 at the direction of the planner because we didn't do it right the first time, which wasn't even told that we had to do it in the first time anyway. So, but I would like to go ahead, as Councilman Royce said, with let's get a bid. I would also like to see, I don't do pickleball, but do we have to do 8 courts? Can we do 4? I mean, I don't know, Charlie, but I think we owe it to our constituents to have something. We are focusing on the children. I love that. That's fine. I'm all good about focusing for the children. But we sat through a number of Central Florida Regional Planning meetings that told us that our demographics is 65% senior. And seniors play pickleball. And I think we cannot go forward and ignore 65% of the demographics in our county. in our town. I just don't think that's right. So I would agree with Councilman Royce to go ahead and let's get a bid. So if you want to make a motion.
So let me just, for order here, we had a motion, we don't have a second, so that motion dies.
Yes,
And we can open it up for an additional motion.
yes.
To do it right, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we instruct staff and including legal to prepare the necessary bid documents to go out to seek an RFP for a general contractor to do a bid for the pickleball project at Lake June Park.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any more comments from the dais?
Yes, I'm getting closer to Joy's position on this, more so now than I was 30 days ago even. But we have too much in this, and I think that's a good proposal, Ray. I think we need to follow through with this. It's been, I think, poorly managed over the last couple of years for a bunch of different reasons. And we don't really know what we're looking at. So it's a good plan. So I think it's time. Yeah.
Okay. Any other, out to the audience? Sir, if you could please state your name and your address for the record.
Jack Comley, 607 Sunset Point Drive, Lake Placid, Florida. I had about 7 questions here. Some of them have already been answered. But my main questions are, is this work going to be able to be done in the time limit that the grants are only good for so long? I think it's next summer or something like that. And, you know, we're delaying and we're delaying and we're delaying. We want to make sure that it can be done in the time limit that are imposed upon us. And the other thing is that, has anybody thought about the security that's required for these courts? I've talked to a couple other areas that have pickleball courts, and they've had to add locks to the fences to get into the courts, and at least one of them had to add security cameras because they found that kids were rollerblading and skateboarding on the courts, and that does a lot of damage to the very nice finish on the courts. And then the other thing would be that I agree with the idea that was mentioned by a couple of you of possibly, since it appears that the courts are going to cost more than what was originally thought, you know, what about if we have, when we put out our bid for the proposal for the 8 courts, how about if we have an alternate bid for 6 courts or 4 courts? That way, we don't have to worry about coming back with 8 courts and it's way out of line. We can't afford that. We would already have the price for 6 courts or 4 courts, which would mean that we're not, you know, going out for bids and taking another month or whatnot to get the price that maybe we can afford. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment. I think the challenge of going out, and I'll leave that to the attorney, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 is because we've got designs, plans that Kimberly Horn has already done, and that would be what they would be bidding on. So, you know, and I think that, but the comment on when the grant is due is an important one that we want to make sure that April for the FERDAP grant. It has to be completed and done, but we'll check into that. We don't need to do that now, but Mr. Durham, that's an important point, that as we send those documents out, it has to be completed by a certain date, so that needs to be in there also.
Exactly, and I think any bidder needs to be well aware of that and build that in their timeline, because a big issue is, if not, what is the damage? So we're going to have to really make sure they're aware of that, and it's a tight timeline.
Yeah, it's a reimbursable grant, so, okay, thank you.
There's also the question that if we reduce the number of courts, are we in violation of the terms of the grants?
Oh, that is true, for the first.
That's the other one question that I did have. I understand we got an approval from RPAC for the all the changes that we have made or work that's been deleted. But I don't think we've gotten one from FERDAP yet, have we? Stating,
With FERDAP, we're still continuing with exactly how we submitted. 8 courts with lighting, so there's no reason to get any approval from FERDAP because we're not changing from the grant submission.
so what you submitted to FERDAP didn't include the
Did not
parking down
include the
by
paving.
boat
The
ramp,
paving
right?
was added on for the RPAC.
Okay.
Thank you. Ma'am? Please state your name and address for the record.
Margaret Deer, 1504 Fringe Street. I absolutely love this approach. It's smart. It's not good money going after bad. Let's hope that we can finally get the daggone things built or not. Everybody say, okay, here we are. If this doesn't fit, let's figure out a way to build pickleball courts. I believe that the town has committed that to citizens and it needs to happen somewhere. The only thing I take exception to, Ms. Hayes, as much as I love you, there is plenty of blame to go around from this project from start to finish. And last time I checked, we hadn't spent $800,000 on the kids just yet. Thank you.
Good evening, Marlene Barger. I have some papers here that I want to give to members of the dais. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to take them?
Okay.
Like I said, the
Marlene.
attorney multitasks here and the responsibilities
He's the
we've
multitasker.
assigned
The
him.
multitasker.
The bailiff.
Marlene Barger, 760 Sunset Point Drive. With regard to the proposed pickleball courts at Lake June Park, my concerns are not about pickleball versus non-pickleball. They are about choosing the right facility in the right location at the right time while responsibly using limited public resources. The question before council is not whether pickleball is a valued recreational activity. It clearly is. The question is whether whether Lake June Park is the best location when we consider the needs of all residents and visitors who use the park. 2 years ago, 501 citizens signed a petition opposing pickleball courts in this particular park, and citizens in more than 500 homes in the town opposed the proposal. This is hardly a small vocal group, as was discussed in today's paper. These residents deserve to have their concerns fully considered. Since then, Lake June Park has changed. The Tourist Development Council has added annual events to the park, and residents have seen increased weekend and holiday usage. I have certainly witnessed that. Has the town fully evaluated whether demand for this property has changed before committing to a permanent new use? Ultimately, the question of priorities and responsible stewardship is before the taxpayer. We do know that at Bishop Park, because of the new amenities there and all the additional costs, we now know that people from there are coming to Lake June Point to use that park because it's cheap. They don't have to pay to go swimming. And at Bishop Park, there's a lot of expenses. So the point comes down to, I'm not in favor of sending out an RFP because we know it's going to come back. Last year, it was coming back at over $100,000 above. And at that time, there was a motion put on the board, and it never got passed, to do away with it and consider it. In addition, Placid Lakes is building pickleball courts, and they're opening it to the community. So we have pickleball courts going in there. How many pickleball courts do we need? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Sheila Byatt, 146 Brentwood Drive. In support of what you have just heard from Mrs. Marlene Barger, I truly believe that Town Council has far more important items to be concerned about at this time. We all read about what is happening at state, county, and local levels with over-budget items, and frankly, your anticipated infrastructure expenses play a much more important expenditure than pickleball courts at this time. It might be of interest to you to know that our courts at Tomoka Heights aren't being used today because the retiree players have all headed north. So here we've got courts that are just sitting there. We are living in a very different time today, and the country was we are living in very different times today than the country was some 8 to 10 years ago. And contrary to what we are told, our overall Lake Placid population is not increasing to the extent that we are led to believe. Unfortunately, the Lake Placid area has to contend with 4 or 5 areas created by the old land sales era, thousands of acres, and percentage-wise mostly vacant today. The voting population of Lake Placid on a local basis is 1,000 plus. Thus, based on that figure, you need to monitor your projects and anticipated ones very closely. Annexation should be of a major importance today. Last week, I listened to the commission meeting wherein they were speaking of impact fees in order to support infrastructure. Figures submitted 18,000 plus. By the end of the meeting, they were talking of less than half. Council members, put your pickleball project to bed for today. You have many more important items to be concerned about. May I be so blunt as to finish by saying, take the blinkers off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Charles Wilson, 763 Sunset Point Drive. The only concern I have about the general contractor, which I'm open to, is the costs may be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but can you piggyback with excavation point to do a certain portion of the work as they're already a vendor for the county?
Well, currently, they're not. We need to go back out to excavation point because they were piggybacked before, so that needs to be a new bid.
Well, that one went beyond the 30 months.
Right. They all did.
Yeah.
And that's why. I think it's more about...
Or just get an actual bid. If you have the general contractor being someone who builds courts, there's a couple of them, Nitty's one of them, and then have someone, what I'm trying to say is I believe, and people don't understand a lot of this, and we've talked about this a lot, but the FERDAP grant mandates the 8. So if you change it, then you don't get the RPAC funding for the public. So that's pretty much set in stone. You lose that, then you lose the RPAC and that daisy chain. So what I'm trying to say is that money, we've already encumbered $60-some thousand, not accounting personnel costs or legal costs to this point. I understand the traffic point, that's going to come off the costs and everything. But if you're able to put it out to bid for the court construction and have the site work done and have Kimberly Horn, I think that may be that $6,000 for the supervision of the bid. And is that as-built as well, to make sure it's as-built to their plan specs?
That would be the plan.
Yeah, that's what the bid would need to be. Are you asking, what did Kimberly Horn submit this evening on the agenda, or something different?
Well, I'm asking if the $6,000 for writing the RFP.
Right. That was Kimberly Horn says we'll write up.
That's just for writing the bid itself,
Right,
though.
that wasn't managing the project or
Okay.
anything.
They did submit something for the management at some point, didn't they?
Not to my knowledge.
I think it's in the 8-inch binder. I think
No,
they
no,
put
this
something.
current one,
Oh, no,
Kimberly
no.
Horn hasn't. This
No,
is just,
previously. Previously, I think Kimberly Horn put in a bid for the
I
project.
think there may be one, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But the general contractor may be a tougher nut to crunch, but people also have to realize the scope of the project too and the cost. I believe that you still can get it done.
Time.
Thank you.
thank you.
Chet Heath, 588 Sunset Point Drive, Lake Placid.
I want to ask a fundamental question. Why are we doing this? We've got all these financial problems in front of us, and we want to build an amenity that we don't even know if the majority of voters want it. It's never been out for referendum. We have some evidence that a lot of people don't want it, and we have some evidence that from a survey that was put up on the internet that anybody could respond to, that a few hundred people do want it. Can't we put this on a referendum? We've got an election coming up soon. Let's find out who really wants this thing, and should we be spending perhaps $1 million by the time this is done on a white elephant? We shouldn't be doing it. We should be paying our bills, and they're big. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Dana Riddell, Town Planner for the record, 31280 Tango Drive. I just wanted to offer the Town Council, based on Ms. Hayes' comments, assistance with any projects that the town needs going forward, that if the town would like to preemptively work with planning to understand the permitting concept for, or process for any projects before they move forward with them. I'm more than happy to work with the town in that capacity with no additional charge. And that's something I've proactively asked to be involved with over the years, and I have unfortunately not been successful in my pursuit.
Your mic was cut. Well, you're as close to the audio video that you can get, right?
My apologies. So in comments regarding traffic concurrency, I would not have known the cost of a traffic study, but I would have been able to assist with that. Unfortunately, it's really not in my purview to oversee projects. I've not been asked to do that, but I would love to get my hands in that area if there's any concerns regarding how projects are being managed in the town of Lake Placid. To the point of there's an additional charge for a traffic study, I believe that there must have been some kind of miscommunication with the county when the methodology meeting was initially held. I have not reviewed the traffic study. It is not in my purview to review. That is handled entirely by the Highlands County Engineering Department, and it's a requirement of theirs. But I did know that that requirement existed for any new infrastructure development. And again, like I said, I try to be proactive in getting involved in projects before they get started, but it's not always well received. So I'm putting it out to the council tonight that I would be more than happy to assist proactively and preemptively before it ever gets to that point.
Thank you. And let me just add to what Dana's saying, and Councilwoman Hayes, on your comment earlier, because I was going to comment on that, is when staff came to me with a $6,000 Kimley horn to go out to bid and a $4,500 transportation study, I remembered we had previously approved a $7,500 transportation study. And what I was told that this is an addition because the county required something more. I immediately called Dana and said, help me out here. And I mean, she was equally as confused. So what I plan to do is I'm going to call Kimley Horn. So, I mean, I know this motion is for the bid documents, but I'm separately going to call Kimley Horn because I actually said to staff, wait a minute, did they not do what we paid them to do in the first place? Why would we now have to go out with another study? And so I wanted to look at that original contract so I could be prepared and make that call to Kimley Horn, because my first reaction is, no, I paid you to do something. Why didn't you anticipate what needed to be done? Right. So, you know, Dana, as she's doing now, had volunteered however I can help, and I would like to help on that.
Thank you.
And I mean, and then the other is, this is just lessons learned for us. I mean, we've got this project that's been going on, and we don't have internal staff to work on it. And so what we're doing is we're pulling from staff's regular assignments that they can't do, I shouldn't say they can't do, but But we're prioritizing this with staff who's not, if you will, skilled to be able to and 100% built. So we have a lot of lessons learned on this, clearly.
Yeah, and honestly, if council wanted to give me the go-ahead, or if Mayor Charles wanted to pick up the ball on this, I'm willing to attend some meetings with you. I believe that if we had some conversations with Highlands County Engineering Department, we might be able to find some kind of middle ground, because it's either the county didn't clearly state how the methodology needed to occur, or the traffic engineer perhaps misunderstood, or there was a change between the methodology meeting and the actual study being done. Something happened. And it's not my experience that during a traffic study, if there's amendments needed, that there's additional charges for it. You usually expect that there's some change that is going to be required to the traffic study. Usually it's not in the tune of an additional $4,000. So I'm happy to help, like I said.
Okay, and appreciate that, because that would be the second phase. The first phase is, let's determine how much the budget would be in order to build this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I might, in support of my motion, that's why I didn't even kind of what I will call cloud the deal with the traffic study, because that's a secondary thing. We can have a lot of conversations with Laura and JD up in Highlands County. I can assure the public that we're not going to spend $1 million on the pickleball courts. We, earlier tonight, approved in our CIS $699,274. The town of Lake Placid's share of that is $200,000. We have already expended 45% of that. To me, it's worth spending another $1,000, maybe $2,000, primarily Mr. Durham's time, to get a price. Now, if the bid comes back from a general contractor and it's $5,000, it's $705, then we have a conversation. If it's $800,000 or $900,000, then I believe most of us will then say, well, we just can't do it in this time and era. So I am not at all interested in trying to keep a project alive that's hundreds of thousands of dollars over what has previously been approved. I think the general contractors will understand that our budget is basically $700,000, and that if they want that job, they're going to have to come back in that neighborhood. And so I think if they have pre-calls and they call you, Madam Mayor, or Mr. Durham, and say, hey, we're looking at $850,000 minimum, you can tell them, well, save your time, So that's in support of my motion.
Okay, any other comments from the audience?
I just have one
Sure.
extra comment, if you would. We spoke, or at least I mentioned several meetings ago when you started in as mayor, Mayor Charles, that precisely what has plagued this council for the past 4 years that I've been on council, and I would suggest for the 4 years prior, and my two colleagues beside me can probably tell me if that's right, that once council makes a decision, that we need to go forward with that decision. It's duly vetted. It's made a motion, it is seconded, it's discussed ad nauseum, then we vote on it, and it should be done. Precisely the two things that came up, and I appreciate the public coming up, but the two people that came up with the paper number one, and that the pickleball should go to referendum, these ships have sailed, and I've said this before. This is precisely what has plagued the council for the past 4 years. This item of pickleball courts has been discussed for 8 inches of paperwork years, since at least 2022 or prior. And we have come to a determination that we want to build pickleball courts. As a council, we have come to that decision. Now, because we have waited an additional 4 years, now we are wondering, can we afford it? Because we could have 4 years ago, and now, maybe not. However, please, let's stop the bleeding. People were asked if they wanted pickleball courts. Maybe you don't recall, they filled this room. Half over there, yes, half over there, no, but they filled the room, okay? And we decided as a council, we made a decision, that's what we were elected to do. I think it's important, and it's our obligation to our constituents that we move forward once we make a decision, that we don't continue to rehash and rehash, because that's what got us where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rosemary Heath, 588 Sunset Point Drive, Lake Placid.
Can you move the microphone?
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. I would like to question the validity of the survey. When you look at that survey and you look at statistics, it's impossible to have those statistics. I don't have the paperwork in front of me, so I can't explain, but if you sat there and looked at the results, you can't possibly have those results. You can't possibly have 98 of any percent ever happen with people. They just, 30%, 40% of the population, but 90% of the population? I don't think so. I brought that survey. The survey has 126 signatures. People don't want the pickleball courts where the children play. You're taking away the green space from the children. And it's unfair to those children. There's no place for them to go to play touch football. And where are the people going to park? During the holiday, there were boat trailers parked all over where the pickleball courts would go. Where are these boat trailers going to go? And the diagram you have allows for 11 of them. Usually there's 15, 16 boat trailers in the park. There's not enough space with them if you add the pickleball courts. And there's not enough space for the children. That's the saddest part of it all, is those children play in that space. The picnickers come there, and the children are playing everywhere. I saw people doing badminton right in the middle of the green space. That green space is important to those children, and no one's taking them into consideration. And also, no one's taking into consideration what the town voters want. You need to either bring this up in a referendum. We've had nothing that's been transparent with this at all. Everything's been decided behind screens. The votes have been not in public. This is something that, and I walked house to house to house to house, over 500 houses. Not one person wanted pickleball, and these are your residents that are in this town. Maybe Sebring wants pickleball courts, but certainly Lake Placid residents do not. And you need a study, because going forward with those pickleball courts, we need to fix playgrounds. We don't need to build pickleball courts. The playgrounds are in such need of repair. I have that too. I have a list of the repairs that need to be done. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Bring it back. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes, now and forever. Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
No.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to action item F, town council meeting and workshop dates. And if you want to put the workshop dates up on the screen. So this is just getting ready for the budget and the budget workshops and that'll be coming up. Is the staff put together, based on council meetings, and then where we can have workshop meetings for the budget and that. And generally, we have about 3, and it's like every other week as we get into the budget season. And so these are proposed dates that, I want to see with council if you're going to be available for the date. As we get into the budget workshop, sometimes we don't need the third one. We would cancel it, but at least we get it on the schedule. and that Eva can make the proper newspaper notifications and that. So here's kind of a whole series of, July 13th is where we'll set the millage rate to start the budget process. So that will just be at the regular budget, the regular town council meeting. And then what they're proposing is Thursday, July 16th at 2 o'clock, it would be a joint workshop, council, regional utility commission. And I'm looking at Matt Elliott over there, the chairman. And this is where Florida Rural Water Asset Management Plan would give their presentation of the current or suggested rate structure, and the utility staff would present a recommended path forward in order to incorporate the recommendations from Florida Rural Water Asset Management. And then regarding the budget, kind of the next three are the proposals for the three workshops. And that would be the 2026 and 27 fiscal year budget, the CIS that we talked about earlier, the 5-year capital improvement schedule, and then the 10-year financial strategy. That would be August 27th at 5:30. Then, I'm sorry, let me just back up. That would be July 30th at 5:30. And then a week later, August 6th at 5:30. And then 3 weeks after that would be August 27th, and that would be able to bring that forward to the regular council meeting on September 14th for the first hearing of the fiscal year budget, and then the following Monday would be the final adoption of that budget. What this does is it gives us time to start preparing a preliminary budget that we would present at the July 30th. We'd be able to have that discussion. We'd tweak it, come back a week later with what that looks like. So first wanted to make council aware and see if there's any conflicting dates specifically for council on these proposed dates. And I'll just pause for a minute. Is there anything that council sees that would be unavailable?
I will not be here for the first 2 meetings of July, but all the other meetings work.
Okay.
And I can catch up on that pretty easily.
Okay. So and we'll get that. So the actual regular council meeting, that one, okay.
You'll be there for the 13th council meeting.
So-
It's the first 3 weeks of July I'm gone. I may come back.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we'll get those. And as we move forward to prepare for the budget, I just want to throw that out right now, is to get any input on ideas. I mean, the process I like is, let's get the ideas from the council. What are some of the budget ideas that you want us to try to bake in? I mean, I would imagine that, our first cut at the budget may be way over because we got all of these great things we want to do. But then that'll give us a chance at that first budget workshop of this is the input that we have, and that we can start tweaking and prioritizing that. So as I'm working with staff directly on what are I'll call it the needs in order to budget, and then secondary, what are the wants? The same thing for council and the public, to try to get any of those items so that we can at least have a comprehensive list to work from, and then we can start peeling that down so that we can make decisions. But yet, some of the things may not make a cut at this year's budget, but then we have that 5-year and the 10-year, that we can, I think, do a good job of trying to represent what a lot of the community needs and wants are. So no motions needed on this. This was an informational item. Okay.
So just a question on July 13th, it says set the proposed millage rate to begin the budget process. If I'm not mistaken, that's where we set a rate and we cannot go higher than that rate, but we can go lower. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So right now, our millage rate is 3.65. Eva, we will get the cuts at how much, we're anticipating even to get revenue from the county in that, and then we'll use that meeting to make the recommendation. Is it 3.65? Is it 2.65? Is it 4.65? Exactly like you're saying, though, whatever rate we make there, we can go below. We can reduce it. We can't go higher.
That's the published rate
Right,
also.
that's the published rate, and that. Okay, any other questions to the audience on that one? Okay. So we'll just kind of quickly go around, starting with staff. Do you have any open items? Alan? Dana? Oh, see, we silenced you again. Oh. To the bailiff.
Either way. Since I have the wireless, I'll just go back here. Again, Dana Riddell, Town Planner for the record. I have 2 applications for plan developments currently in the works. This morning, I got an application for another fiber optic company, i3 Broadband. After today, I'm sure I'll get another submittal for Clearwave to continue with their permitting process for fiber. The Highlands County Building Department moved over to electronic submissions. It's only for permits that are permitted through Highlands County, so things like driveway permits and internal sign permits are not included. So those are still hard copy submittals or electronic strictly through email through the town. I had to kind of proactively coordinate with Highlands County regarding that change. There wasn't much information put out about that. And, you know, we're just working on daily permitting approvals and things of that nature. You all have my director's reports, but that's what comes to mind right now.
Okay, thank you. Rachel, anything? Chief, anything? You don't want to tell us how your project out here looks like it's ahead of schedule, below budget, and
It is
some of the
definitely-
furniture you're finding that we can get for free from some other locations?
It was all placed in the director's report, but yes, we were able to actually, Anita McDaniel and Captain Troutman were able to find enough furniture to fill the building for free with no cost to the taxpayers. It was actually a pretty wonderful job that both of them did. The building itself, currently, the date being kicked around, which is not official, they're just leaking it out there as possibly before Halloween that we will be in the building. That's definitely way ahead of schedule. We are not supposed to right now this week, according to the schedule, is when we were supposed to start having the trusses put up. And right now, we already have the trusses up, the first dry-in done. All the rough-in is done for the sprinkler system, the electrical, the plumbing, and we currently have our low-voltage system coming in this upcoming week. Once that's done, they'll start looking at windows in a week or two. Once the windows are in, the stucco goes on, and the drywall starts to go up. So it's moving very rapidly.
Great, and thanks for your leadership in moving that project along. Leanne's representing utilities, Brandon's on vacation. Do you have anything? We're thumbs up. Okay. Okay, on the dais, Mr. Durham, Councilwoman Eberhardt.
Just for the benefit of everybody watching her out there, we all went to the emergency operations training up in Sebring. We all went for a tour of the Amazon facility, and they do, they painted the buildings at Lake June Park a few months ago, and they really want to help with the town. They're looking for any ideas where they can help out, so it's nice to have them there. Then on Memorial Day, I went to Sebring that afternoon to the Military Sea Services Museum, and I had never been there before. It's wonderful. It's just, you need to get up there. It's awesome. And it's run by volunteers, so if you go, you have to check the schedule.
Councilman Sapp, pass. Councilwoman Hayes.
Madam Mayor, do we have anyone slated to go to Leadership Highlands this year? Or could we?
I'm not aware. When is that?
Are you not aware of what Leadership
That-
Highlands is?
No, that we have anybody.
have
assigned
anybody?
to go.
We actually had planned on sending Sergeant Mullins from the police department through Leadership Highlands this year.
Okay, there's
Two, did he say
the
two people?
interim town administrator has,
Oh, I'm in your way? Sorry.
I am a 2024 graduate of Leadership Highlands.
So you're planning on two people?
I've already gone. But right now I have Sergeant Mullins going, and I have not looked at anyone for the town yet.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just think that's such a good program. I've gone through it. I would not like to tell you how many years ago, but it was quite a few. Shut up, Michael. You're laughing over there. It's when he was with the sheriff's office. But it's a wonderful program, and you learn a lot about Highlands County. So I think that if we have an opportunity to send one of our staff, I think it's great that the chief is going to send one of our police officers as well. So,
okay,
other than that, I think I've commented far enough tonight.
Councilmember Royce.
I'll be very brief, I promise. I think it's just important, after going through this budget stuff, in our town, about 19% of the ad valorem take comes from homesteaded properties. And so we will work under the assumption that the referendum will pass in the fall, and there'll start to be some repercussions for the 27-28 budget year. And I don't think we're going to be able, and obviously we don't know how the state plans to mitigate the losses that towns and counties such as ours are going to face. So there will be some form of additional revenue to make up some of that, because theoretically, at the end of it, we could have about a 7.5% decrease in ad valorem revenue coming in. But I think it's a reminder that we need to be focused on economic development in our town, and the way we work this is if you have commercial, retail, industrial properties, obviously they're going to pay ad valorem taxes, they require less services. And so as we move forward, I think we need to start to think more and more, how do we incentivize, work with people? We're also going to assume the county will impose impact fees at a lower rate schedule starting October 1st. We need to understand what our role of trying to offer incentives working through the county can or can't be. The town won't have impact fees, they'll all be county, but they will also impact anything that's coming into the municipality. So I would hope that once we kind of get a couple more months down the road and we get our ship going again, that we start to think more and more about what can we or should we be doing in regards to economic development. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just on that note, I didn't mention earlier, but, people start asking Rachel, what's the impact of the tax, referendum going to have on us? And of course, we don't know that yet, but we anticipate within the next couple weeks and before the budget workshop too, to be able to get at least a estimate of what that impact, if it passed, would, be on Lake Placid. The last thing I just wanted to add before we close it out is we're in some preliminary planning stages for July 4th to do a 250-year celebration. And so we started kicking that around. Chief kicked it around. Mrs. Deere, Margaret Deere, we kicked it around. And so we're pulling together we're going to do something. We're going to do it at Devane Park. We're still looking at, do we do it 11 to 2? So we're working out when we're, Chief has volunteered, they got a barbecue, he'd pull out, looking at maybe Publix elsewhere, getting hot dogs and what we can do to at least acknowledge for our town and do some celebration for the 4th of July 250-year anniversary. Allen already has flags, and rather than put them up now like Sebring has, and they're all faded, probably about 2 weeks before, you'll start seeing Devane Park and elsewhere, the flags going up, and many of them 250 year, knowing that it's only going to be this year that we can use them. So just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody has ideas, we've got volunteers for music. We're looking at different ways that we can at least pick a date, the date's pick a time, and then put some publication out to the town, recognizing at night we have the fireworks, so we don't want to do it later in the day, but we want to do it earlier to avoid the heat. So, okay, I have nothing else, so I will call this meeting to adjourn. It's 7:36, meeting adjourned.